I have seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I have to tell you something. I have to get this off my chest. This is the best animated superhero movie that exists. It's better than Batman Mask of the Phantasm. It's better than the Batman Beyond animated movie. It's in my top 5 superhero movies of all time already. It's my favorite Spider-Man movie, I think, at this point right now. I don't know. There's so many, and boy, are we living in a privileged world where we have all of these incredible superhero creations for us. But this movie is freaking incredible. It is absolutely beautiful. The art style is so evocative of comic books. There's almost like a little panel shift. You can see the color dots as if you're flipping through pages of the books. You get all kinds of speech bubbles and pop-up bubbles that come into play. It sort of evokes the 1960s pop art era, the era when Andy Warhol discovered the beauty and the simplicity and the artistry of comic books, and huge panels were blown up all over the world. This is the post-Comic Code Authority world of comic books. But this is also Spider-Man without a lot of shorthand. This is leaping into the world of Miles and getting a sense of this brand new spider creation, co-created by Brian Michael Bendis, one of my favorite comic book creators out there, who is in the world of Peter Parker. But then all kinds of weird, distortions happen, and I'm not going to spoil too much of the story here, but we get to see into other dimensions, and we get to experience other spider variations in there. And somehow all of these spider people are brought together, and they have to stop a host of different villains who are truly despicable and incredibly performed and exquisitely animated. And there are sequences in this movie that really underline why it should have been an animated movie. I know that the live-action Spider-Man stuff has been pretty uniformly incredible to watch, and the effects are in all of the live-action Spider-Man movies are top-notch, and they have been, right since Tobey Maguire assumed the role. And you think, well, they're already doing this incredible work in the live action. Why would they even need to go to this animation kind of style? This very, very stylized animation, by the way. But when you get into the fight sequences and the leaping off of the roofs and staying with the character, and quick shots to the feet of Miles trying to just get his footing, and passing through doorways and passing in between cracks of traffic, and you just get this visual rush all the way through it. But there's a huge learning curve for this young new hero who just can't believe his luck, because he already exists in a world of Spider-Man, and he just doesn't feel like he's worthy of it, and how can he ever assume the mantle of Peter Parker. And the way that this story is handled is so heartfelt and so powerful and so meaningful because of knowing nods and winks and a real message of inclusion. Like, this is a character for everyone, for all of us, and it's a really powerful statement. You care about every one of these spider people that pops into frame, and they're all endearing in their own way. They have their own foibles, they have their own idiosyncrasies that can drive you a little bit crazy and also charm you and endear you at the same time. And when they're together, it's amazing how they feed off of all of that, and they become this very cool, powerful unit. We get fantastic bad guys in there. I'll tell you one of them. I'll tell you that Wilson Fisk is in there, and he's as menacing and powerful and large and scary as anything that Vincent D'Onofrio does on the Daredevil show, and that's saying a lot because he's amazing on that series. But this Wilson Fisk is truly terrifying, and all of the voice acting all the way through this, and there are different spider people voicing different versions of the character, so it's not the same Peter Parker voice that you're going to hear over and over again. Excellent. Just really, really wonderfully cast. But there's also all of these great, tips of the hat to Spider-Man through the eras, and through, you know, the different media versions of Spider-Man. And when you're sitting there and you're in every corner of the frame, there are all of these little Easter eggs and little secrets and little, you know, high fives to you as a comic fan, or me. I mean, I just felt transport. I felt like this was like a full-on gift, not just to me as a kid that, like, when I lived in Mexico, when I was a little one, you know, I was only 2 to 5, but Spider-Man was on in Spanish, and I used to watch that, and I was just blown away. And Spider-Man became such a huge part of my world. And I don't think I've ever told anybody this, but Spider-Man was also a huge part of every Mexican kid's world. And Spider-Man would appear at wrestling matches, because we all watch wrestling matches. You know, with the, you know, everybody wore masks and all that stuff. But Spider-Man would make an appearance at those events, and he just was a profound thing for me. And as I came back to Canada and learned how to speak English again, Spider-Man was this beautiful escapism. I had all kinds of Spider-Man action figures, and I just loved it. I loved the character. Batman became my favorite, but Spider-Man was always somebody very special to me. And in this movie, there literally is a Spider-Man for every person. And that's what's so, you know, you can feel the calculation behind it, but it's so smartly crafted and so wonderfully presented, and so much a, you know, like this piece of championing the art form of comic storytelling, you know. And of course there's some, oh God, I don't want to spoil anything. I'm just dancing around all of the things that made me feel so, I don't know, just ecstatic, just filled with glee, filled with joy, and also melancholy at some moments. Like it's amazing the highs and the lows of the storytelling are powerful. All of it is so powerful. The art is powerful. The voice acting is powerful. The animation is breathtaking. You know, where the story takes you is surprising, and it's a wonderful work of art. I say not only go see this, but go see this 2 or 3 times. It's phenomenal, and I can't wait to possess the 4K Blu-ray of it. I can't wait for my daughter to see it, and there are some kind of intense moments in there that I don't know if she's going to be able to kind of grapple with, but I want her to, because it's just an amazing work, you know. And everybody that's involved with the creation of this thing. Phil Lord is one of the screenwriters. He worked on the Lego Movie and Lego Batman, and he was famously fired from Solo, but he's part of that duo. But like, honestly, he's at the top of his game, and everybody involved in it as well. And I understand that a lot of the animation was done in Vancouver, and it's very unique. And that's the other thing too. Like, we live in a very crowded space here, a very crowded movie world where everybody has kind of been creating, and smartly so, echoes of a lot of the foundational work that Pixar has been doing in the CG space, and then Disney adopted, and, you know, the DreamWorks animation teams and Illumination, all of them are kind of reflective of each other. This stands alone. This stands apart, and a big chunk of it is the way that it just shows, you know, undying appreciation for the comic art form. And I honestly believe that this is going to be one of the most inspirational films for getting people off of their butts to go and read some of these killer stories in comic books. And I think that's another reason why I love it so much, is that it knows where it comes from, not just as a character-based thing. It's not just a love letter to Spider-Man, it's a love letter to the medium of comic books. And it's sensational. Try not to use all the words that Stan came up with to describe his favorite superhero, but get out and see this movie. Honestly, it could be my movie of the year. I don't know yet, but I was rocked. It's absolutely amazing. 10 out of 10.